Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. What the heck am I going to have to add to COD 4 that hasn't already been said? You already know what makes this game great. We know every little detail of the campaign, every funny, iconic line, and how monumental this game was to the industry. So what can I add? Well, this is actually the first time I played through this campaign. I played all the other games multiple times, but I didn't get my PS3 until Modern Warfare 2 came out, and I was too hooked on that game to even care about going back to the older title. This will be the remaster because pretty graphics make Monkey happy, and Raven did a killer job updating the game while still keeping the original feel of it. How do I know they achieved this if I'd never played it till now? Because I'm a bing bong smart boy, that's how. COD 4 immediately sets itself apart from its predecessors with these cutscene mission briefs. We're being propelled into the modern era with all the satellite imagery, techie SFX, and the more hushed tone of the brief. It's quite the departure from the large-scale booming battles of World War II.
Good news first, the world's in great shape. We've got a civil war in Russia.
Sarcasm and irony will always be my favorite way to joke.
Government loyalists against ultranationalist rebels, and 15,000 nukes at stake.
Just another day at the office.
And if we were being honest with ourselves, Modern Warfare doesn't really have much of an actual story. Never really got us to care about these characters until the second and third game. COD 4 was still working on the transition to this more modern COD, and I mean that in more ways than just the setting. There was this big focus on what they did best from the previous games, delivering high-quality, fun missions. The story came second. With that said, without this foundation, we wouldn't have had this awesome trilogy. And even with the story being barely a skeleton, they still managed to make us enjoy these characters through their performance and one-liners. Notice I said enjoy, not care. And I love that line, just another day in the office. It frames the story with the ending cutscene about how the entire mission we succeeded got covered up, and no one will ever know the heroism of these men, and that's just their job. And at a point here about nukes, civil wars, and World War III, you probably just get used to it, which makes the following line even funnier.
Intel's keeping an eye on him.
And the bad news?
We've got a new guy joining us today.
The worst thing to them now is freaking New Blood. Not the nukes, not the powerful man in the Middle East. A goober named Soap.
Remember, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading.
It just doesn't feel right not giving that a win, you know?
Knife the watermelon.
I really enjoy the fact that this highly decorated task force that goes on to save the world tests their new men's skills by asking them to knife a watermelon. For tutorial purposes, it serves just fine. And canon, it's so silly.
Right. What the hell kind of name is Soap, eh?
A name that's gonna make me cry in 2 games. But really? I couldn't find anywhere where he got his name. Maybe I'm just bad at Googling things, and if that's the case, fine. Let me know if you know, though. Having our tutorial be put into an active test was a much better idea than just having us shoot more targets like we were doing a second ago. And it makes a lot more sense, too, as Soap would already have his bearings and know how to handle his weapon, and an active test like this is much more fitting for his character. And it's also infinity toward realizing most of their audience already knows how to play an FPS. No need to waste more time on a tutorial. Also, having this be timed and giving us a record to beat definitely made people like Summoning Salts a little creamy. I do gotta hand it to Raven for making such a pretty remaster, though. I mean, look at Price's mustache, beard, face. He's gorgeous.
Weapon 3.
Poor guy. The one drinking the coffee had at least a second to panic and have his heart drop through his asshole before dying. Yo, where did Infinity Ward get footage of me?
On your feet, soldier! We are leaving!
Man, does the music and sound effects just take me back, though. So much of this was in Modern Warfare 2. It just reminds me of a time when I was a kid and could stay up all night playing without a care in the world. I mean, I still do that sometimes, but you know what I mean. This entire ride as the president is so much more effective than if we were shown from a third-person point of view, or if they just skipped to the footage of the execution being watched by the SAS. We are forced to see this world and live the president's final moments without any control, just like him, which helps get us more invested in the conflict with the 4 horsemen. Bad guys who are on the same side fake out, but also a way to show the bad guy's bad because no muscle discipline.
Nikolai's in hell right now. We're gonna walk him out.
There are so many badass one-liners in this game that I just can't ignore. Yes, the cutscenes are loading screens, but because they're giving us information not boring, this game never feels like it has any. Plus, with the cool zoom in to put us on the ground, it's pretty easy to binge this campaign. I know it stands for Special Operations Peculiar Mod, but I like to think they named it that because these are Soap's favorite attachments, and so we get Soap Mod. I'm gonna call this all ghillied up shadowing. These motherfuckers came out of nowhere.
Not so fast. Remember Beirut? You're with us.
They never really elaborate on this, but building history between these men puts a lot of miles on making us buy this story and these characters. This game came out during a time when COD games were still depictions of history and still giving armed conflict the respect it deserves. I'm only saying that because the future games are, like, in the future and more space pirate Halo. But anyway, I remember reading these quotes a long time ago as a kid, and it was a healthy reminder that though this is a Hollywood made-up version of war, it's not exactly fiction. This kind of stuff is actually happening. You can't tell me this little bit wasn't the inspiration behind Clean House and Modern Warfare 2019. But in a more indirect way, as they wanted to focus on scale and realism with Clean House that Blacked Out could never even hope to have.
Can you walk?
Yes, I can still fight. Thank you for getting me out of here.
Freaking Russians, man.
No, their invasion begins in a few hours. Why?
The Americans are making mistakes. They will never take Al-Assad alive.
Dramatic irony. Love to see it. The more subdued, smaller out missions are accompanied by a simpler, quieter score. The second the United States Marine Corps shows up, it's pedal to the metal rock and roll, baby. Also, this is where we get our tried and true big COD combat encounters. A fair mention was the scale at which Infinity Ward was developing Modern Warfare. Most missions previously had capped at about 4,000 lines of code by the end of them. Most here have 5,000 minimum. There wasn't one thing that wasn't bigger and better with this game. And a big reason that is because of the passion Infinity Ward had for this project. Everything here was a labor of love, as it was before the burnout set in, before the greed of Activision set in. And most importantly, Infinity Ward had been trying to do a modern COD for years and finally got let loose to create what had been ruminating in their heads for so long. Something I wasn't expecting and found super interesting was the multiplayer maps were just ripped from the campaign, or multiplayer maps were repurposed into the campaign. I'm going with the former, as I'm sure they took these arenas and gave them the slight tweaks needed to have it transition seamlessly into multiplayer. And I'm always down for working smarter, not harder. And Bog was just a great map. Played a lot of the remasters multiplayer, calm down. Fighting for B and Dom was always stupid hard, but damn that I always feel like a hero throwing my body under the flag with nades all around me. I love the atmosphere of Bog, like the name entails. This mission is set during the morning, but damn does Raven and Infinity Ward know what they're doing with building the atmosphere of it, feeling like there's a storm coming during a sunset, which is just due to all the smoke and, well, fog coming from the fighting. It might just be me, but there was something unsettling about just watching the helo tear up this building. It's mostly the music. It's not some heroic cheer, but much more somber. I don't know. The moment made me sit and think about all the lives that were just being snuffed out from this behemoth we've created. If a game can make me reflect about stuff like that, and especially a COD game, that's pretty good stuff. And when the music does pick up to resolve our mission, it's also subdued.
Regroup at the tank. Let's go.
It's victorious, but not in our face, and feels more like a slow close of the eye saying, thank God we made it. Versus a, oorah, tear 'em up, that we get after a victory in later campaigns. You know, a pen and paper would have worked, but it's way cooler to put your battle plans on the side of a tank that you're going to use to push through the enemy lines. I'm entertained by the idea that the last thing the enemy will see is the plan written out being used on them on the side of the tank. That just to finish them. Did I give you whiplash with these lines? One reflecting about the lives of these men, and then the other entertained by their deaths? That's humans for you.
Spotlight, hit the deck.
Bryce would know a thing or two about hiding in bushes.
100 meters to the southwest of our location. Over. Copy. Coming down.
For those that don't know what an AC-130 is, this is quite the shock and terrifying, but also empowering because you know it's on our side. Watching fire rain down and then looking up and seeing nothing is important for the next mission, so we know what we are doing to these little blips of men on the ground. There are some weapons where the boom of their cannons are just too sexy to ignore. This is one of them. This is also important to framing the next mission, so we can really understand the firepower that we're about to be seated in. I mean, we see it firsthand, but now we are seeing the breakdown of it. Before this mission, I never knew this plane even existed.
Crew, do not fire on any target marked by a strobe. Those are friendlies.
This is my favorite mission in the entire game. Yes, more than Sneaky Boy mission. The realism, from what I could gather, is unparalleled, and the feeling it gives, at least to me, is so eerie. Reducing human life to little blips of light that we have full power over is a terrifying prospect that real men and women have to contend with. And you can tell that they're used to it, or never had to really face the consequences of it, as it's just lights on, lights off, on targets, to a mission accomplished. And the sound design is stellar. The constant drone of the plane also helps us disconnect with the life on the ground, along with our vision being this black and white, unbiased view of the landscape. Couple these together, and it's some kind of other world. Maybe I'm reading into it a bit too much, it's not that deep, but it feels like every bit of this level was crafted to build this effect. If you look up AC-130 footage, this is almost exactly what it looks like. I was amazed how almost one for one it really was.
Fire on the church. Whoa! Yeah, take him out. Hot damn!
God, the sound design is so good. Hearing the boom of the cannons, but not the impact. And then the lines of our crew kind of relishing the kills. It's weird. When I was younger and played the AC-130 missions in Spec Ops, I was just having a blast and didn't care. Maybe it was because it was without the context of the story. I don't know, I can't say, but now it makes me feel uneasy, and that's an amazing feat for this game to accomplish.
Navigation, which one's the curved road? Over. Fire control, do you see the water tower? Over. TV, confirm you see the water tower. You talking about the water tower near the intersection? Roger, that's the one. And next to that water tower is a curved road. Do you see that? Roger that. Track that road into the next village. You, should be able to see another water tower in the village further down that road. We're having a bit of trouble acquiring the village. How far up the road is it? Approximately, hang on. It's about 2 clicks along the curved road.
I left all that in because it was so interesting to hear some uncertainty and back and forth to acquire the correct direction. There's a lot of people with hyper-idealized versions of the military that believe everything to be squeaky clean perfect. I thought that way until I was about 16. Hearing them unclear for a moment with so much firepower is a little more than disconcerting. Wars win games, people. Well, Intel wins wars. Warpig shot through this building destroying this enemy tank and couldn't have done it without his boys up top. I almost always hate motion blur, but sometimes it could be used really well. This is one of those cases. Even good to highlight the speed of these choppers.
Initiate search and rescue, over. Copy 2-5, be advised. You will not be at a safe distance in the event that nuke goes off. Do you understand? Roger that. We know what we're gonna do.
About to bring a tear to my eye. No man left behind.
We have a confirmed nuclear threat in the city. Nest teams are on site and attempting to disarm. I repeat, we have a confirmed nuke.
Now that was unexpected. We normally expect to win and not have an entire nuke go off in our games, but no, not this time. And it heralds in one of the best scenes of the game. We can only crawl. We see the captain we tried to save, and then all we can see is the mushroom cloud. Originally, this mission would have us fighting in some capacity through the torn streets, but Infinity Ward made the right call on this just being this. Helpless, dying, crawling around seeing the destruction and death that these weapons cause. It's so much more effective than what their first idea was. And it seems like this that I point to whenever people think that all COD games glamorize war. This is heartbreaking and terrifying. And the payoff for the intel Nikolai nabbed. Check that out. A little non-linearity for a COD mission.
Five here. We are ready to attack and are standing by for new orders.
That's why I love Price, not asking permission to kill or nothing. Also why we connect more with this group than the USMC is. They've got more autonomy than the Marines.
Too much radiation. We'll have to go around.
Now, that one moment made this everyone's favorite mission. But really, they needed us to believe that these suits made us invisible for this mission to work. And boy, did they. Also, who else misses having these suits in multiplayer? I loved playing hide and seek in this and Black Ops 1. These actually worked.
Too much radiation. We'll have to go around.
Something tells you they made Soap Scottish because of Macmillan, just so Price and Soap could have that little extra connection. So this mission almost was never made, as there was so much AI and code written just to make the stuff in here work. It isn't used anywhere else in the game. It was almost scrapped, but it was too good to pass up, and now we've got the most iconic mission in series history because of it. And talk about tension with this scene. It's one thing to have to follow Macmillan around and be sneaky, and a whole nother to have to do it on your own.
Wait for me to get into position. We've been spotted. Take them out.
And thank God we don't get a mission failed if we get spotted. Granted, in some locations, failure is inevitable as you can't fight off so many, but at least they let us fight rather than just force restarting the mission. Looking at you, AC3.
Oi, Susie.
That's how it's done.
Nice little sound design between whispering and comms and speaking out loud. Macmillan places this hit well. If you want to knock someone out, the lower jaw chin area is what you want.
50,000 people used to live in the city. Now it's a ghost town.
Yeah. What am I to say? Now, there was a lot cut from this game because of many reasons. Time, money, you name it. And I'd say that the product was overall better because of that. Given too much time, they might have tinkered and built stuff up to the point of it just being bad or fluff. Perfectionism doesn't always mean good. This was novel, but that's all. I hated this because after the 5th retry, I was just annoyed in any tension that had been lost. But it was novel, so there's some neat juxtaposition for you. From sneaking around to a bombastic escape. What better place to have the last stand than by the iconic Chernobyl Ferris wheel? You know, sometimes I gotta remind myself that a mission can just be a fun little shootout. Doesn't need to propel the story forward, character, or narrative. These are games after all, and I do focus maybe a bit too much on story in these videos. This is a fun mission, as we are just being beaten back to an LZ, just holding the lines, and then be told, nah, go back down the hill into hell that you just fought away from to get out.
The sins of our fathers.
Ain't it a
Love Griggs. Little did y'all know, I was a dirty, scummy quickscoper back in Modern Warfare 2, and damn were those the days. It's like the Avengers up in this bitch. Griggs, Kamarov, Gaz, Soap, Price. Only person we're missing is Jax. Oh, yeah.
So, take his weapon and restrain him.
I love when the mission objective can't be completed because of some wild shit that ends up happening. We feel so safe sometimes with our tasks as that's what we gotta do. That we get completely taken off guard more than we would in a movie, for example.
It's quite simple.
We kill the Batman.
I was starting to think you guys were gonna leave me behind.
That was my first thought, but your ass had all the C4.
We got a problem here!
Well, that's one way to create some urgency. It's Soap's 6th day. The 6th day was the creation of humans and animals. And through stopping these nukes today, he's saving many of those. Soap is God. That's what I'm trying to say.
Come on, what's the bad news?
The bad news is we're still trying to get those abort codes.
I really shouldn't be laughing, but there's a certain level of comedy when things are so seemingly foobar that you can't help but laugh.
Got it. Door's coming online now.
Don't know if it was an intentional animation, but this remaster is super polished, so I'm gonna say yeah. I appreciate the little detail of Price anxiously pacing for a moment waiting on the door.
Guys, can't you make it open faster?
Negative, sir. But you can try pulling it if it makes you feel better. Cheeky bastard.
Even in the face of 41 million lives being lost, if they fail, they can still joke around.
Bravo 6, all warheads have been confirmed destroyed in flight. We got a ton of debris, but most of it's landing in the ocean.
Sir, check the security feed. It's the can. He's taking off.
And just like that, mission done, and we are moving on to the next thing. Just another day in the office. Man, this remaster is perfect, but oh my god, does Zakayev run like a goober from 2007?
You know, sir, I wouldn't mind getting a shot at Zakayev.
Or his boy Jackson. Isn't it kind of crazy that this is as wild as the game gets for set pieces, and it's held off to the last mission to do so? Don't know if I want to call it restraint, because COD wasn't all about the set pieces yet, but it makes for a damn good ending. Part of me thinks you're not expected to hit this hind. I sure as hell didn't, but in my mind, the threat of the RPG would make the pilot more cautious, and thus aid our escape. So it doesn't matter if you can hit it or not. Our boy Kamarov to the rescue. Price is not such a small man to need to take the shot himself, but to just get the job done and give Soap this chance. Yo, this was definitely a Raven thing. Our World at War boy Dmitry up in here.
Russian officials maintain that the missile tests fell well within established UN protocols. No comment was received from the ultra-nationalist party, where rumors of a possible leadership struggle have just begun to surface. In other news, the search for a ship lost in the Bering Strait due to a major storm has been called off.
Just like that, the game's over. Mission done, and the world never knew how close they came to the end. And it really does make you wonder, how many times has this actually happened in real life? And with this game not really focusing on characters and relationships, there was no need for some epilogue of them celebrating in London. Just cut to credits and let's go play some multiplayer. Just kidding. After Mile High Club, we get this cute little picture of our boys, and that's enough for me. And yeah, Mile High was meant to be a full mission in the game, but they ran out of time. But at least they gave us a cute little end credit romp. COD 4. Really not too much to say about it that hasn't already been said. I know I've retread some ground with my thoughts, but I hope I was able to offer something new or at least give you some mild entertainment for about 15 minutes. This game really did change the landscape of gaming, and without it, I'd be hard-pressed to figure out what the hell the industry would look like without it today. I say with so many starts of franchises, but Modern Warfare really did walk, so Modern Warfare 2, 3, and hell, the entire COD franchise could run. Well, sprint, really, until their legs fell off. I wish I wasn't, quote-unquote, late to the COD party growing up, but I'm still grateful that I got to experience 2 in its heyday. Kids nowadays will not believe the beautiful vitriol that we enjoyed and threw at each other in these pre-game lobbies. Modern Warfare is to thank for those amazing memories. Let me know down below some of your favorite Modern Warfare lobby stories. I may not reply often, but I still do read every comment and love hearing you guys' feedback. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, drive the speed limit, drink some water, love one another. Pizza. But before you enjoy that pizza, let me tell you about today's sponsors, Squarespace. Squarespace gives people a powerful and beautiful online platform from which to create your website. They make it easy to connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated members-only content. You can manage these members, send email communications, and leverage audience insights, all on one easy-to-use platform. Squarespace makes it easy to create a community using their powerful blogging tools to organize your content. And let me not forget to mention Squarespace extensions. These third-party tools can help manage inventory, promote products, and streamline bookkeeping, all in addition to their already powerful e-commerce tools. And Squarespace makes it easy to display posts from your social profiles, automatically pushing website content to your favorite social media. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/gamingwins to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.